Welcome back to the Research Finance Education Series. This video will explain what an honorarium is, the information or backup required when dispersing an honorarium, and why we need this information. First, why is it important? An honorarium may be an important aspect of your research project. Many items must be considered when dispersing an honorarium. This video will focus on the financial areas. Being informed of the information required by the Canada Revenue Agency and Unity Health Toronto will ensure no surprises come months after the honorarium is dispersed.
Definition of honorarium. Unity Health Toronto defines an honorarium as a thank you payment of nominal value for voluntary services. If the honorarium is greater than $500 Canadian in a given calendar year, January to December, tax implications may apply. The honorarium is not provided as an incentive or as compensation and not reflective of the value of work being done. An honorarium payment should be infrequent in nature and not equal or exceed $500 in cash, light cash, such as gift cards, or non-cash items, such as books or tickets, to a single payee in a calendar year, January to December. Honorariums paid to employees of the network, for instance, staff or physicians, will be treated as employment income and subject to deductions at source for income tax. The network employee will be subject to income tax regardless of the honorarium value presented. The network may be violating Unity Health's collective agreements and Employment Standards Act regarding paying employees if income tax is not considered when issuing the honorarium to network staff. Please view the corresponding honorarium video for employees of the network.
Let's discuss the difference between a reimbursement and an honorarium. A reimbursement is defined as money given to a research participant that reflects out-of-pocket expenses associated with participating in a research study, for example, travel or parking. The backup required is generally the original receipts and a signed requisition form. An honorarium is money or item given to the research participant that acknowledges the time and effort they have provided in participating in the research. The backup required is an honorarium log and the signed requisition form. Please ensure that these supporting documents are gathered and communicated in the beginning of your engagement with the research participant.
When is an honorarium appropriate? A payment as a thank you or gesture of goodwill and appreciation to a non-professional. External party for a special classroom lecture or short series of such lectures. Guest speaker at educational event or other similar function. Guest speaker participating at outreach events. A participant volunteering in a research project if eligible from funding source.
When is an honorarium not appropriate? If Unity Health Toronto and the payee agrees to a mutually acceptable value of compensation for the service being completed, an honoraria should not be considered. If a payment is agreed upon, a service provider agreement should be initiated as there is an employment or independent contractor relationship. If Unity Health Toronto engages in obtaining services with a professional speaker or consultant who performs the requested service as a regular employment, this would go through a service provider agreement and should have a fee for service. If you intend to pay an individual an honorarium, one payment or many payments in a single calendar year, and the total of the payments will equal or exceed 500 Canadian dollars, please obtain the individual's SIN number when preparing the requisition. Please be aware that Unity Health Toronto is considered a single employer by the CRA. Should an individual receive multiple honorariums from various areas in the hospital and equals or exceeds the $500 Canadian nominal value, any subsequent payments may be treated as employment earnings, and amounts already processed may be converted to employment earnings.
Implications of incorrectly paying an honorarium. If an individual is paid an honorarium when they are an employee or service provider and it is not reported for income tax purposes, Unity Health Toronto is violating federal and provincial tax regulations. If a study participant or individual is paid an honorarium equal to or greater than $500 Canadian in a given calendar year
and it is not reported for income tax purposes, Unity Health Toronto is violating federal and provincial tax regulations. Unity Health Toronto is in violation of the Employment Standards Act if the services or work performed is in fact employment in nature, but an honorarium is paid. Any fines and penalties owing will also be charged directly to the study activity and will be the responsibility of the principal investigator. The research study team will be in violation of the Unity Health Toronto's purchasing requirements if the individual or business being paid through an honorarium is in fact an independent contractor. If reassessed by Canada Revenue Agency, Unity Health Toronto may be required to pay the employee and employer's share of taxes plus fines and penalties. These amounts will be charged back to the study activity that issued the payment and will be the responsibility of the principal investigator. The incorrect method of payment can also negatively impact the individual receiving the payment, as they may be responsible for paying income taxes on the amount. This can be a financial burden if this was not anticipated, especially if the amount is substantial. The individual can also be reassessed fines and penalties for late payments of these taxes. After reviewing and confirming that a study participant or speaker qualifies to receive an honorarium, there are 3 methods which this can be done. 1. Requisition form through accounts payable, a petty cash float, and payment using personal funds and subsequent reimbursement from Unity Health Toronto. Future videos will detail how the process will be for each of these options. If you have any questions about this presentation, please contact your research financial analyst or researchfinance@smh.ca. Thanks for watching.